Hello, our notes for today is about ratios and proportions. So, this is what we have as an activity. It is about juice models. So, the story is Jake's Jamba Juice Jugs uses specific parts of each ingredient to make the best selling juice drinks in Texas. Unfortunately, Jake opened Jake's Jumpin' Jambalaya joint and left you behind to make the Jamba Juice Jugs. Use the recipes below to determine how to make the juice drinks. Jake used 4 main juice ingredients for his juice drinks, and these are the apple, pineapple, kiwi, and grape. So what we're going to do with the first one, with the first recipe, is that we're going to write it in ratio. And ratios can be written as a fraction, or it can be written with the 2 dots, okay, or with the word 2. So let's go ahead and try the first one. The first recipe is 3 parts grape to 2 parts apple. So I went ahead and divided the juice box for you in 5 parts. Why in 5 parts? Because if you add the 3 parts of grape with the 2 parts of apple, that's a total of 5. So I cut it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. Now, they wanted 3 parts grape. So therefore, the first number that we're going to write down is 3, okay, which is for the grapes. Write down letter G. And the second one after the word 2 is the one that's going to go under this fraction, which is the 2 parts apple. Okay, you have to label the parts of your ratio in order for you to not get confused. Now, how else can we write down a ratio? With the use of the 2 dots, remember? Okay, so the first one that came before the word 2 should be written before the 2 dots. So that's going to be the 3 parts grape. And then after the 2 dots will be the number that came after the word 2, which is the 2 parts apple. So that's read 3 to 2. Just like your fraction, that is read 3 to 2, meaning 3 parts of grape to 2 parts of apple. And that's the same thing here. Now what about the word 2? It's going to be the same thing. This 3 comes before the word 2, and therefore the 2 parts of apple will come after the word 2 here. So it's still going to be the same ratio we're talking about, whether we write it as a fraction with the 2 dots or the word 2. Now, I want to remind everyone that when we say ratio, okay, you should follow what it says, okay? Meaning, if they said part grape first, then you have to write down the parts that are grape first before the word 2. And then the next part, they wanted apple, so it comes after the word 2. If you switch them around, then it's going to be wrong. Now, ratios can be written as part to part, just like what we just did here. Grapes to apple, grapes to apple, grapes to apple. Now, we can also write it down as part to total. So our first example as part to total is this, which is grapes compared to the total number of fruits in this grapple. Okay, so grapes is 3 parts. We know that grapes is 3 parts, while the apple is 2 parts. So we're going to write down A for apple here. So if they wanted grapes to the total, the number of grapes is 3. And out of the total, and that's going to be all the 5 parts. So the grapes is 3 to 5. Can we do the same with the apple parts? Yes. So that's going to be again part to total. So this time the apple, which is 2 parts. So 2 apples out of the 5 parts. The whole thing is 5. So as you can see, we've written the part of the apple out of the total. We've written the grapes, the part of the grapes out of the total. And we can also change them to decimal and percent to find how much apple is it in percent and how much grape is this juice in percent. So if I change this fraction 3/5 or 3 to 5 into a decimal and then percent, we're going to find out how much percent is grapes in this grapple juice. So top in, bottom out. 3 goes in, the 5 out. 5 cannot go into 3. So that's going to be decimal, decimal, add a 0. Then 30 divided by 5 is 6 on the tens place. 6 times 5 is 30. Subtract that 0. Now we have 0.6. How do we change the decimal into a percent? You move the decimal point twice to the right. So now you can see that part of the juice is 60. That is grapes. It's 60%. Okay? Now can you tell how much part is apple of this grapple juice? Of course, that's going to be 40% because the total is always 100%. And as you can see, the drawing shows 3 parts of the grapes, which is bigger than the 2 parts of apple out of 5. And also, we can write down each part of the grapes as 20%, which will still equal to 60%. And then each part of apple is 20%, which is equal to 40%. Does that make sense? And everything, of course, is still equal to 100%. Okay? Now, the next recipe is kipine, meaning 1 part kiwi to 4 parts pineapple. So they want us to write the ratio in that order. So you do not change that. They want it 1 part kiwi first before the word to, and after the word to is 4 parts pineapple. So as a fraction, it's 1 to 4. Now you know the total of these two, if you combine them, is 5 parts. Okay? So let's go ahead and cut this juice box into 5 parts. There you go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many parts will be kiwi is just 1. So write down K. And the rest of them will be pineapple. Now we just did part to part here on top in a fraction form with 2 dots and the word to. So that's part to part. Now let's go ahead and try part compared with the total with kiwi and pineapple as well. Kiwi will be 1 to 5 and pineapple will be 4 parts compared to 5 parts. So what percentage is kiwi and what percentage is pineapple? And you can tell already that 4/5 will be a higher percentage. So top in, bottom out, the fraction for kiwi. So 1 goes in, 5 goes out. That's a 0 on top. Decimal, decimal, make it bigger. 10 divided by 5 is 2 on the tenths. Then multiply 2 times 5 is 10, subtract that 0. So our decimal will be 0.2 for the kiwi. Move the decimal point twice to the right, and you know what will it be? This is 20%. And you know each time we divide something with 5 parts, each part will be 20%. Okay? Now, if you add all this, it's going to be equal to 100%. Everything is equal to 100%. But how much percent is just pineapple? That's 20, 40, 60, 80. So you already know that 4/5 is 80%, which is more than the kiwi. So we can say that this is more of pineapple taste. Okay, the next one is kiwapple. 2 parts kiwi to 3 parts apple. Always pay attention to the word to, because the word to arranges the ratio for you. Whichever comes first before the word to is your first number on your ratio as a fraction. So it's going to be 2 to 3. And you know that the 2 is your kiwi part and the 3 is the apple. Always label your numbers. The total is still 5 parts all in all. 2 parts kiwi and 3 parts apple. Now we're done comparing with part to part. Now we're going to go ahead and compare part to whole. Can you tell what percent the kiwi will be? And can you tell what percentage the apple will be? Now go ahead, try this one on your own. Write down the ratio in 3 different ways. As a fraction, don't forget to label with the 2 dots and with the word to. And then you try to write it as a ratio comparing part to whole. Okay? This one is part to part, right? So a ratio that is part to whole, which is the total, for the grapes, and also you do the same thing for part to whole with the kiwi. Okay, so this is gonna be part to whole. So copy the juice box and then also give the percentage for the grapes, give the percentage for the kiwi. Okay, good luck. I bet you got everything correctly. Good luck on your homework, and I'll see you in class. Bye!